Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Well, hope everybody's doing okay. Really nice week here in Maine. We've had really nice weather, temperature, and I hope it continues because, you know, soon the temperatures are going to get colder here and we're going to have to start wearing our coats. Plus Halloween is around the corner, so that's something to look forward to. And so really not too much happening around here, but I want to tell you about something that happened to me today. I was looking for a replacement battery for one of these emergency radios. They have a crank. You've probably seen them in the store on the side. And it has two ways you can charge it. You can either charge it with the crank, or you got the solar panel up here on the top. It's got a little antenna and a flashlight on the front with the radio. Okay. It also has, let me see if I can open that up here. On the back, it's got like a little port here for maybe plugging in, you know, another power source or something like that. And maybe is that headphones, I think? I don't know, it's got two little holes there for something, I don't know what, but anyway, it's pretty handy. And, you know, the battery comes out easy, goes right in here. Well, I've had this for, I don't know, about 5 years, I guess. And the battery, I think, was just getting weak, and it wasn't holding the charge when I would crank it, or when I'd even set it out under the sun. So I figured, well, maybe it's time to get a new one. So I went to Best Buy to look for battery, and they got a whole plethora of batteries over there. Well, when you know it, I go in there, and the batteries section looks pretty well skeletal. I mean, there's hardly any batteries in there at all, and especially, you know, for anything special like that radio, and it's no battery, but they sell it. There's a spot there for it, but it's all empty. So they told me to come back on Tuesday or Thursday next week, or Thursday this week, and they might have more on the shelf. So I'm like, okay, well, at least I know someplace that does sell them. I'm just gonna have to wait a bit before I can go get one. So on the way out the fucking door to get back in my truck, this guy is standing out in the parking lot, and he's looking up at the sky. So I try to trace what he's looking at, and this afternoon, well, it wasn't this afternoon, about 4 o'clock, the moon was up in the sky, and it was bright as the sun. I mean, it was so fucking bright you couldn't even really look at it, okay? And he's standing there looking up at it, and he says, "Is that the sun or is that the moon?" I said, "Well, I think at this time of the day the moon would be positioned at that spot." And I said, "If that's the moon, then it's getting a hell of a lot of sunlight today." And he goes, he goes, "Geez, you know, it's so bright, you have to squint to look at it." I said, "Yeah." And of course, you know, when you even start just a little bit of a conversation with anybody in this state, it's going to end up into an all-night affair, which just so happened that's what went on. I started talking, and then he started telling me that he's got a CB radio, and he's got a ham operator, and I told him my father was one too, and he had, you know, towers. We were sitting there talking about that, which was interesting. But then he got off on a tangent with talking about politics, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. And I was like, I kind of didn't want to say anything at that point because, like I told you before, I don't try to bring up politics in public around people because, everybody has their own set of opinions. It's like religion. Okay, and if you say anything that rubs against the grain, even just a little, with some people, you're going to they either just walk away from you or they're going to start arguing with you, okay? And I was in no mood for an argument, so I just let this guy talk. Well, he claimed he's an independent. He don't go either way, Republican or Democrat. And he was talking about how, the country isn't spending money in the right places, where people need it the most. And I agreed with him there. I said, yeah, it's true. I said, we spend a lot of money on the military. And I said, it's too bad because I think we can cut back a little bit on the military because we've got some of the most advanced shit out there right now. And there's really no need to keep pumping more money into it because we haven't really been using it, recently. And I just don't see why, unless they itemize everything they need it for, which they don't. There's no real reason why the military should continue to get such a big fat budget all the time. There's sometimes they don't really need that much. And I said, and of course, with that other space agency there that Donald Trump started, I said that's really another arm of the military that's going to be out there with its hand out, from our tax money. Okay, so I said it's gotten ridiculous. So we talked about that, and he started to get on this rant about welfare, food stamps, Social Security, and he just kept going on and on. And he was like, he's getting all, you can see his face was getting red. He's like, I gotta go, I just can't talk about this. And he jumps in his truck and he peels out of the parking lot. I'm like, Jesus, I was like, God damn. So I met some people that, that get all wacky when they're talking politics, but I never saw a guy in my face doing that. So I was like, Jesus. So I tell you, I got my truck, came home, I'm like, damn. But clearly he wasn't no Trump supporter, okay? Because the things he was talking about really is something that you wouldn't hear a MAGA person talk about. But obviously, he said he was an electrician or something like that, that he would, get up on poles and stuff, fix things. And so I was, okay, because talking about that. But yeah, it was kind of a funny encounter there, I thought, because it was like, Jesus, the more he talked about it, the more excitable he was getting, and before you know it, he just gave up and jumped in his truck and peeled out of there. So I was like, I don't know what he was expecting from me except to listen, but he was gone. So anyway, but for one of the things today that happened, which was, something that a lot of people were kind of cheering for on the Democrat side, was the issue here with Donald Trump and his bank fraud case, which he basically lost without even a trial, because the evidence, from what I understand, was so irrefutable and so condemning that there was no point in having a trial. It was just an open and shut case. The judge deemed him guilty, and next Monday or Tuesday, I think, is they're going to have the actual penalty case for him, because it's a civil lawsuit that was a civil case rather that was handed down to Trump. So he's lost it, and of course Trump and all the people are saying it's rigged because the judge made just took it on herself to make the judge. It wasn't an illegal thing. This happens a lot. If you get so much evidence in a case that there's no point in arguing it because you can't, then the judge has got no choice but to just declare it, guilty. Because Christ, they had all the records that he was sitting on. And remember, Hillary Clinton had mentioned during her campaign against him that Trump wouldn't answer any questions about his tax returns or anything like that. And she was trying to pose to the audience, why is he hiding them? And Trump was just standing there, looking stupid like he always does. And Hillary says, people need to understand he's hiding something, okay? Well, now we know what he's been hiding, and that's why he's in trouble now. Okay, so they handed down the judgment. He's got to come back next week for the penalty hearing. And the story here is from the Daily Beast, written by Jose Pagliari. Okay. It says, former President Donald Trump, his top executives and heirs were declared completely liable of persistent and repeated fraud, and the real estate empire was unceremoniously stripped of its business license in New York after a judge's powerful ruling Tuesday ahead of a massive trial that seeks to hit them with more than $250 million in penalties for bank fraud. And in a stunning development, the judge has already ordered the complete dissolution of the fabled Trump Organization, the tycoon's pride and joy, the empire that made him famous and elevated him into the White House. The Trump Organization and its sister companies will be sent into receivership to be under the control of a court-appointed officer. Even before the trial officially starts, the ruling handed New York Attorney General Letitia James a near-total victory, meaning that next week's trial will most likely focus on damages that would pulverize whatever is left of Trump's many business entities and bank accounts. In his 35-page opinion, Justice Arthur F. Engoron tore apart what he called the Trump family's bogus arguments and obstreperous conduct. Okay. And he summed up the entire defense as, quote, a fantasy world, not the real world, unquote. Quote, in defendants' world, rent-regulated apartments are worth the same as unregulated apartments. Restricted land is worth the same as unrestricted land. Restricts can evaporate into thin air. All illegal acts are untimely if they stem from one untimely act. And square footage is subjective, unquote, he wrote. Trump, several of his heirs, and top executives will now be fighting off accusations of bank and insurance fraud at a civil trial that's scheduled to run from early October until late December. Judge Letitia James seeks to punish them all for routinely lying about property values to score better deals. At trial, it will be up to Judge Engoron alone whether the Trumps will owe $250 million plus in penalties, be prohibited from serving as executives, and have the company charters revoked. In a scathing statement posted to Truth Social on Tuesday night, the former president described himself, his family, and supporters as victims of a widespread radical attack that has now devolved to new un-American depths. He described Judge Engoron as, quote, unquote, deranged, and alleged he was simply doing James's quote-unquote bidding. Quote, today's action is a refutation of my status as the leading candidate for president of the United States, unquote, he fumed. Quote, it is a terrible reminder that the radical left Democrats will stop at nothing in trying to prevent me and the American people from winning the 2024 presidential election. Regardless of party, we cannot let this happen in the United States of America, unquote. Trump alleged that as his lead in the polls over Biden grows higher, his enemies are becoming, quote, more and more desperate and dangerous, unquote. At a court hearing last week, lawyers on both sides tried to convince the judge to grant them each a total victory to avoid much of the trial. Engoron decided against that, rejecting the Trumps' request to dismiss the case entirely and the AG's request to have a trial solely on damages. On Tuesday, Engoron ripped the Trumps and their lawyers apart for dragging this on so long with legal arguments that wasted the court's time by repeatedly questioning whether the AG even had the authority to hold them accountable this way. Those arguments, quote, glaringly misrepresent, unquote, the law, and trying them again and again, quote, invoke the time loop in the film Groundhog Day, unquote, the judge wrote, calling attempts to topple the case this way, quote, pure sophistry, unquote. Engoron also made the pivotal decision to keep all of the AG's lawsuit intact, concluding that all of the real estate deals in question are not too old for law enforcement to crack down on for bank fraud. He brushed off the Trumps' attempt to whittle down the lawsuit ahead of a trial that could drain the wealthy family's bank accounts. The timing of this decision also throws a wrench into the Trumps' Hail Mary play, in which they sued the judge directly and prematurely asked the state appellate court to intervene because he hadn't yet made his decision on the statute of limitations, an oddly aggressive move that reeked of delay tactics. The higher court, the appellate division's first judicial department, has yet to weigh in. Doing so now might be a moot point. As such, the trial appears to be set to start next Monday as planned. So Monday, okay. The judge seemed particularly annoyed at what he described as the Trumps' inability to run their business ethically. He had previously assigned a former federal judge to oversee aspects of the Trump organization to ensure that it did not slyly shift assets ahead of the trial, only to discover that executives wouldn't let the court-appointed monitor do her job. Even with a preliminary injunction in place, quote, and with an independent monitor overseeing their compliance, defendants have continued to disseminate false and misleading information while conducting business. As of Wednesday morning, lawyers were still discussing how to manage evidence and expert testimony at trial, which is scheduled to begin Monday. So, he lost a big one there. And I heard that both his sons can't run the company, okay? They're barred from it too. The only one who isn't technically is his wife, who's divorcing him, because she wanted to be cut off from this matter beforehand. Okay, she didn't want to be, part of this case against Trump, so she had somehow managed to get her name taken out of this thing. So it's really, she's not going to be blocked to doing anything in the company or whatever. And I'm kind of wondering if that was, Trump's plan, to have at least somebody, if it's going to be anybody, be his wife, to sort of keep her foot in the door at Trump's company, where he can tell her what to do and she'll just do it while she's there. But I don't know. The fact that she's not barred from going into that company, it's just, it seems kind of odd that this happened just before this thing began, and now, so I'm just like, that's kind of weird, but people have been finding, all kinds of stuff about how he's been scamming the IRS and shit like that. It's no surprise to anybody, I think, because you look at the rich people in this country, and I'm talking about people who run companies and shit like that. Tricking the IRS is something they all do, okay? And at the same time, the people in these companies that fix the books for these guys, they have to know, right? They gotta. So Trump, yeah, he was hiding that, but who else was involved in that scam? He had other people. I mean, what about his accountants and stuff like that ran his company? They had to know that some money was, kind of, things weren't looking right in the books. This was elevated way high, and this has been degraded, and they didn't report anything. So I'm thinking, well, you can't really just say it's just all on Trump. It's Trump and, his fucking office. I mean, it's everybody that worked with him. Everyone that was employed under him had to be involved in it. So I mean, it's not like it's like, oh, he took all the books and did it all himself. No, I mean, he told everybody to do it, so that meant everybody went out and did it, knowing that it was wrong. So are we going to go after them too and get them to and punish them for aiding a crime? I don't know. But it just the first thing that comes to mind is thinking, after hearing this, is that how are his supporters going to deal with this? Are they going to accept it, or are they just immediately going to buy his conspiracy theory that, oh, this is all the Democrats' fault. Oh, this is the worst thing that ever happened in American history. And oh, this is to stop me from becoming president. Okay, even though he gave the justice system all the evidence they needed to say yes, he did commit a crime. You know, I mean, if he's so innocent, how the hell did they find so much stuff? I mean, and Jesus, I mean, the evidence. I mean, this guy is like the worst criminal you could ever imagine, because he never covered up anything. You know, he couldn't hide nothing, and everybody turns on him. So, I mean, how the hell can you still say, after everything that's happened with this guy, that he's innocent, that it's a big witch hunt, that it's, you know, conspiracy, the deep state, that's this, the aliens, all, you know, all this shit that these fucking idiots at QAnon come up with. How the hell can you say he's not guilty? You have to come up with some pretty big rabbits out of your hat in order to say something like that and mean it, okay? You know, it'd make David Copperfield blush if they could do that. But I just feel like, hey, you know, who cares what they think? All right, these people are lost. They're lost to reality. They're never going to find their way home. They don't know that it's as easy as clicking your heels together 3 times to get you back in the land of the reality that we live in, okay? They don't want to click their heels together. They just want to keep on living in their Emerald City, okay, that's made out of paper, and pretending that all is fine, you know, and that Donald Trump is just being attacked, you know. That's the Democrats, the evil Democrats are after him, okay? Totally turned everything on its head. This is what they do. So, you know, like I said before in another video, this is all leading up to a heated and hated fucking election. I could tell you right now, because the longer that these things go on before the election against Trump, the angrier his supporters are going to get. And I wouldn't be surprised if something happened. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if something violent happened, because we already know that they're capable of doing that. We saw that on January the 6th. Okay, 2 years ago. So it's not fucking impossible, you know, that some nut inside of that camp, or a few nuts, or maybe a group of nuts in this MAGA cult, won't be tempted to, or planning to, even as I speak, probably planning to do something here that's going to be, you know, yet another milestone in the declination of our damn government, okay? I mean, when they say we the people as the government, okay? Yeah, we the people as the government, and we the people as the government, as we are the ones tearing it apart. Because A, we're not being serious about our election system. B, we don't care anymore about the values and principles the country was founded on. C, we're letting religious fascists, you know, overtake our thinking, okay, and allowing the same group of people sit in seats of power in this country so they can influence things against our own country, turning it inside out. All right, we've allowed this to go on in this country. So we the people are also the same reason why the country is coming apart. Okay, so yeah, we're you could say that, you know, we're sort of the catalyst for the days to come of this country that aren't going to be so nice. And that's because we are so confused, so conflicted, so uncertain. We're unsure of what we are, what we're supposed to be. We have no idea what America is supposed to be. Everyone's trying to define this country in their own way, trying to say, you know, well, you're wrong, this is not America. Well, you're wrong, this isn't America. You know, everybody's got an idea of what they think America should be, okay? And they're not bothering to take and read about things in the, you know, that was set up in way back in 1700s, you know, about how this country was founded. You know, they don't want to learn. They don't want to fucking, you know, because they didn't pay attention when they were in school, for Christ's sake, in history. And history is one of the things Republicans can't stand. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to read about it. You know, so naturally they're not going to let their kids read or hear about it, so they're not going to know anything about this country. So to them, it's like, you know, our government is there to be taken over. It stands for nothing. That's what they're going around telling people. It stands for nothing for Republicans because they're the ones that go out there and do the harm and damage they did in Washington, D.C. Okay? The Democrats didn't do that. Okay? You didn't see one Democrat out there partaking in that fucking riot. Okay? It was all MAGA nuts that were out there that day doing that shit. So, that group of people will be the troublemakers in this country until FBI or police or all can round these fuckers up and confine them someplace so they're away from our government system where they can't harm it or do any damage to it. Okay? But, you know, Trump, he loves these people. He loves them because they're easily influenced. Okay? They don't have a brain in their head. And he can tell them anything and they'd believe it. Okay? And it's true. They, you know, and I'll get into that here in a bit. But he's the kind of guy that likes to be surrounded by folks that simply just idolize him, that think he's a celebrity. Okay, they don't care. I mean, he doesn't care if they understand government or not. He tells them what he wants them to think, and they believe it. Now, how this fucking guy managed to get these people right off the bat like that, I don't know. It seems to me like it was a perfect storm of, you know, you got Trump, you got the wackadoodle MAGA nuts out there. You had all this stuff ready to be created at the right moment, at the right time, okay, and having him become president. I mean, don't you think that is, I mean, because of, you know, everything that we knew about Trump before he became president was pissing people off, okay? You know, the fucking, you know, locker room talk that he was giving about women and, you know, the scandals he was in, the women he was screwing, and, you know, and you know, I mean, the guy had no principles. He had no morality, no ethics, okay? That's basically what we got from this guy. And yet, so, you know, and Hillary Clinton, you know, she tried to warn us about him. I mean, she obviously knew him, and to some point, there was pictures of Trump, her, and Bill Clinton shown to the people. So it's like, you know, it's you know, the wealthy hanging around with the wealthy as usual. They're all a part in the circle. But, you know, she knew what he was like and tried to warn us, but nobody really liked Hillary, and nobody really, you know, wanted to hear much about what she thought. You know, it was just, it should have been somebody else, I think, that should have come out and said something about Trump. And maybe that would have made a difference in the outcome of the election. Okay, I mean, I know, yes, he was cheating. He got the Russians helping him and all that stuff and financing him. Okay, which in itself should have been enough to get rid of him. Okay, but for some reason, when they tried to impeach him on that, they just didn't seem to have all their ducks in a row, and he got away with it. So enough of that. But so yes, so he loses this big issue here with his tax IRS issues here, and he's going to have to answer to that Monday. And looking at millions, somehow I don't feel like that's even enough. Okay, this guy's been in business for many decades, all right? He's probably been cheating the system since day fucking one. Do you think $25 million or 200, whatever it was, is really going to cover the losses? You know, I don't think so. I think, you know, I would say more like in the ballpark of $1 billion might be closer to what he's cheated this country out of in all the years he's been running businesses. I mean, considering that he went bankrupt 6 times, okay, when he probably deliberately did that just to, you know, avoid paying things. You know, he's like the most crooked. You ever watch Dallas? J.R. Ewing, okay? He's like J.R. fucking Ewing. He's the worst of the worst, okay? If there's any fucking way to get out from doing something, he's gonna find it, okay? That's who he is, okay? I don't know. I can't think of any other kind of character that would fit him in his description than that. And so I think that, you know, Trump is a guy who thinks that, you know, people are after him, which is probably a sign of a friggin' psycho. I mean, who thinks people are after him all the time when he creates the world he lives in. Okay, and you know he's going to lose a lot, which he hopes he can somehow, if he wins the presidency, which I doubt. Okay, he'll stop that somehow. Okay, he'll stop the whole damn thing. But he's really gonna take a financial hit here about losing that business. But isn't that sort of like everything he's done? I mean, everything he's done, he's lost. Okay, you know, it's like, what was it, that Trump Harvard University thing, whatever the hell that was, that big scam he was running, and that was taken away from him. You know, so he can't do anything. You know, he can't even have a scandal without getting caught red-handed. Okay, and when he gets caught, it's only because he left so many breadcrumbs behind. It was like, you know, you didn't need to have Sherlock Holmes figure this fucker out. Okay, an amateur detective could have pieced it all together on their own in a couple of days. And that's why he lost this case in New York, because the evidence was so overwhelming that there was no way he could argue against it. And there was no point in wasting money and time having a jury trial. So they ruled against him, and they're gonna punish him on Monday. So whenever. Okay, so let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Watch this. This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you. Original.
I don't want to show too much of the bottom part there, but without too many curse words here, sir. What are your thoughts?
I don't have friends. I don't have family.
He's honest. He cares about kids. He cares about guns. He cares about our country.
Trump is mean.
Right now, my rights are being denied by the FBI.
I'm a proud Polish person.
He tells the truth, never lies.
I'm old. You can see I'm old. I'm older.
We need to get down on our hands and knees and pray for this man to get into office.
Trump has a big mouth. We all have big mouths. Right, people? Trump! Trump! Trump!
His Christian values that he stands for.
We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump!
But definitely not woke, definitely not anything about any of that type of like mentality.
Evil's taken over. Good needs to overcome the evil, and Donald Trump is going to do it.
King Jesus first, and then King Trump.
And China. Put an end to it.
It's my birthday weekend.
The left and the rhinos, the globalists.
They kill them all. Kill them all.
Dear Republicans, how can Joe Biden take your guns away?
He's going to take your guns away, you know that, right? Biden.
Didn't Barack Obama take them away in 2008 and 2012?
Obama wants your guns. How is that anything but fear-mongering?
It is actually quite accurate.
There have been more guns sold
since I've been president than just about any time in U.S. history.
Oh, right. It was just another Republican lie. It never happened. Donald Trump and the Republicans have been using this fake threat for decades. And while we're clearing up BS, Joe Biden doesn't want to defund the police.
I'm the only one who's talked about increasing police budgets.
Joe Biden isn't soft on border security. Joe Biden won't raise your taxes unless you make over $400,000.
I'm really rich.
And remember all those Hillary Clinton she's dying stories from 2016?
She can't make it 15 feet to her car. Give me a break.
More BS.
I do have the unique experience of having shared a debate stage 3 times with Donald Trump, and I know that he will do or say anything.
She's fine.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay. Some crazy idiot. Some crazy idiot gave a speech yesterday, Tuesday, okay? And I'll tell you who it is after, after I say these things here. And in the speech, he said that windmills are causing whales to die in numbers never seen before. No one does anything about it. If you haven't seen this story, I'm going to ask you, can you guess who it is? Who said it? It might surprise you. So, did you make a guess? All right. Donald Trump is the one who said that. Yes, it was Donald Trump. He said in a rally in South Carolina that the offshore wind mills are killing whales. Okay, now let me read this article here from The Guardian on this issue, written by Oliver Millman. And it begins, Donald Trump has launched a lengthy and largely baseless attack on wind turbines for causing large numbers of whales to die, claiming that windmills are making the cetaceans crazy and a little batty. You can hear him say that. Trump, the front-runner for the Republican presidential nomination, used a rally in South Carolina to assert that while there was only a small chance of killing a whale by hitting it with a boat, quote, their windmills are causing whales to die in numbers never seen before, unquote. They, quote, they are washing up ashore, unquote, said Trump, the twice-impeached former president and reality TV host, who was facing multiple criminal indictments. Quote, you wouldn't see that once a year. Now they're coming up on a weekly basis. The windmills are driving them crazy. They are driving the whales, I think, a little batty, unquote. Trump has a history of making false or exaggerated claims about renewable energy, previously asserting that the noise from wind turbines can cause cancer and that the structures, quote, kill all the birds, unquote. In that case, experts say there is no proven link to ill health from wind turbines and that there are far greater causes of avian deaths, such as cats, fossil fuel infrastructure. There was also little to support Trump's foray into whale science. Quote, he displays an astonishing lack of knowledge of whales and whale strandings, unquote, said Andrew Reed, a whale researcher and commissioner of the Marine Mammal Commission. Quote, there is no scientific evidence whatsoever that wind turbines or surveying for wind turbines is causing any whale deaths at all, unquote. The U.S. has been slow compared with other countries to develop offshore wind farms, but several projects are now underway off the East Coast, enthusiastically backed by Joe Biden as a way to boost clean energy supply and combat the climate crisis. Critics of this push, including some environmentalists, have warned that whales are being imperiled by work to install these new offshore turbines, but scientists have largely dismissed these claims. Quote, at this point, there is no scientific evidence that noise resulting from offshore wind site characterization surveys could cause mortality of whales, unquote, the National Oceanic and Atmosphere Administration noted. Reed said there are some, quote, broad concerns, unquote, about the overall industrialization of the oceans, but that the main threats to whales comes from their being hit by boats and becoming entangled in fishing gear and from warming oceans due to the climate change. Quote, the population of humpback whales in particular is recovering from being hunted and they are coming closer to the coast to feed on prey, which means they are being hit as they come into shipping lanes or being caught up in the nets, said Reed. A spat of dead whales that washed up along New York and New Jersey's coast earlier this year has fueled opposition to wind turbines. However, with Republicans in New Jersey attempting to halt construction of turbines, this opposition has been embraced not only as another culture war battle, but also as a way to help businesses keen to stymie clean energy, with several right-wing groups funded by fossil fuel interests linked to seemingly organic community protests against wind farms. Quote, it's particularly sad to see well-meaning people who care about whales being persuaded that wind turbines are a risk to them, unquote, said Reed. Quote, they are being manipulated by fossil fuel interests who see wind energy as a threat to those interests, unquote. Okay. So yes, this is the only time the Republicans are really happy to have environmentalists who care about the whales, because any other time they call these people kooks, okay, and anybody, like, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like, oh, well, we can use these people. If we can get them all upset and pissed off about these wind farms, we can get them to stop them making it, so that way people will still have to rely on oil and gas to power their lives. I mean, see how low these companies will get? You know, they fucking know that their product is damaging the environment. They fucking know, okay? Don't tell me that they don't. They got their own scientists, and their own scientists have already told them, okay, yes, years and decades of fucking pumping this shit in the air has done damage to the atmosphere, okay? They're not going to say that to the public. They're talking about that amongst each other, okay? But they fucking know. And yet, instead of trying to do something to correct the problem, which would mean they would be liable, I guess, maybe they're worried that, you know, the world is going to sue them, you know, for doing this. But we're all guilty because we all bought this shit. And even when we were told that it was harming the environment, we still bought this stuff. We still supported the oil drilling. We still did. So we can't possibly sue oil companies without indicting ourselves in the process, because we were all in on it. Okay, everybody. We were all in on it. So, but these companies, you know, they're scared shitless that they'll lose everything if they admit that, you know, yes, they knew. The fact is, yes, they did know. Okay, that's the truth, and it's very obvious that they know. If they didn't know, then why is it that they're trying to cover everything up all the time? Why is it they're trying to deny science that's telling them that these things are going on? You know, why are they spending millions of fucking dollars, you know, campaigning to maintain the use of oil and stuff like that? I mean, Christ, I can't even watch television without commercial coming up telling people, oh, keep drinking the gold, you know, keep going and buying your gas and stuff. You know, it's, you know, they're scared. They know. And instead of being smart, a smart businessman would say, well, look, the trend in the world is going this way now. And I think if we're smart and we want to make money, we need to start tailoring our company into alternative energy, because that's where the money is going to be, okay? And we want to get out ahead of it and be the first company out there to start doing this stuff. Otherwise, somebody else is going to grab it and monopolize the whole fucking market, and we're going to be left holding the bag, you know? So it's the first time you'll ever see big business not trying to run for the next biggest thing to make money on, okay? For some reason, this is like a hot potato. They don't want to touch it, okay? But if they sit and wait too long, somebody's going to touch it wearing oven mitts, and they're going to be the first company out there that's going to monopolize the green energy world that we want to create here. They're going to become a fucking monster of a company, because everything is going to come from them that we're going to need in order to repair the environment. All right? And these other companies are just going to slowly fade away, where they lose stockholders and everything as they go and buy stock into this other company. They're going to sell what they have there, and them overnight, practically, them oil companies are just going to disappear. That's what they're worried about. Okay? So we ask ourselves, why are we being charged so much at the pump? Why? They're trying to make as much money as they can before that day comes. That's why. Okay? They know it's coming soon. And they're all trying to get as much money from us as they can before they end up having to leave those companies, or, you know, sell them off and leave the stockholders with crap. They're not going to tell anybody that that's what the plan is, but that is the plan. You know, so if anyone has stock in any of these oil companies and shit, it'd probably be a good time to think about selling it as we get closer, you know, into the the 2050s and stuff like that, because by then so much damage will have been inflicted on the oil industry because of people shifting their focus away from it, that oil is not going to be as valuable in the days to come as it is now. All right, right now we're still very much dependent on it because we're just beginning to set up an infrastructure in this country that facilitates green energy, like electric cars and solar power and stuff like that. We're just beginning this now, okay? And we don't, you know, companies aren't going to stop this because they know people are looking. They know people are willing, they're holding on to their money until the day comes and they can use it for that. You know, like for myself, I'm already thinking, you know, the next vehicle I get, it's going to have to be something that's not going to be drinking up gas so much, okay? My pickup, it does that, but all pickups do. But, you know, I'm sick and tired of paying that kind of money per gallon for gas, and it's only going to go up from here. I can guarantee you this winter, gas is probably going to hit about $4 a gallon in this area, okay? $4 a gallon. You know, I know it is. We're at like $3.75 or $3.80 right now, okay? And it's fall has just begun. So this winter, it's going to go up because it always does, because they're trying to hit people that heat their homes with oil. So when the price of oil goes up, so does the price of gas. So when people go through a winter like this, with fuel costs that high, again, that's going to push more people into saying enough is enough, okay? We want some solar panels. We want to have some electric cars. Get us off of this shit, okay? It's killing us. It's already killed the planet, so it's going to kill us in our wallet here. And when you start hitting people in their wallet, boy, I'll tell you right now, that motivates people to get the hell out of the... You know what I'm saying? You know, like I said, you want to punish people, always punish them in their wallet around here, because that's what they'll listen and pay attention to when they have to fork over more money than they want to spend on anything, okay? So, like I said, that's something here that I know we started off at Wales, and we're talking about that, but that's kind of why this is even happening. And I think that Donald Trump, you know, kind of speaks on behalf of the oil industry by saying shit like this, because he knows that, hey, my base will buy this story, even though others won't. Okay, they'll know that it's bullshit. But my base, my followers will believe this if I say it. Okay, so they pay Trump some money to go out and say this stuff, and so he does. Even though everybody else knows it's baloney. Okay, the whole thing is baloney, and he gets away with it because he does that for a living. Okay, he says outrageous things and people laugh or they applaud, and so I'm thinking, yes, that's why he had this rally in South Carolina. He had this rally. He was paid by certain people in the oil industry, you know, to say, look, tell people we need to stop the wind farms being made. Tell people that the things are killing whales, and the people who love whales will come out and force and give a hard time to the companies making these wind farms and try to stop it. You know, and he's like, sure, yeah, fuck it, you know, give me $1 million and $2 million, I'll give you your speech. You know, it's as simple as that. Okay, any more complicated an explanation as to why he would say something like that would be ridiculous, okay? It's as simple as that, because Trump is not a very complicated man. He's very simple, okay? It's all about me, and how much money I can get, okay? So when thinking on that, he's not a chess player, he's a checkers player. That's what he is, okay? He don't think any further than the end of his damn nose. That's why he gets caught for everything he does, because he can't think his way through things. So, yeah, that's why he's doing this. Very simple. Now, in the same place, same day, this dumb speech he gave, this story had come out that somebody had witnessed, and it's on Alternet, and entitled, Trump Campaign Forced to Deny He Purchased a Gun After Video Shows Him Saying, I Want to Buy One. See what I mean about a guy can't cover his tracks? Okay, during a photo shoot at a South Carolina gun shop, Donald Trump posed with and then said he wanted to buy a Glock, asking if it's, quote, a good gun, unquote. Some say it might be illegal to sell a gun to anyone under criminal indictment, and if he took the gun with him, that too might be illegal. It was not clear if, despite saying he would, he actually bought the firearm. The Trump campaign initially said he had, although later backtracked on its claim and deleted the social media post saying he had. In the photo op, Trump posed with several people, including the Republican Attorney General of South Carolina, Alan Wilson, who has held that elected position since 2011. Quote, Trump's spokesman announced that Trump bought a Glock today in South Carolina. He even posted video, unquote, wrote former Chicago Tribune editor Mark Jacob. Quote, if Trump took the gun with him, that's a federal crime since he's under indictment. There's also a law against selling a gun to someone under federal indictment like Trump, unquote. Reuters' crime and justice reporter Brad Heath posted the federal laws that might apply, as well as Trump's campaign spokesperson's clip of the ex-president's remarks and his spokesperson saying, quote, President Trump purchased a Glock in South Carolina, unquote. CNN analyst Stephen Gutowski, who writes about gun policy, added, quote, it would be a crime for him to actually buy this gun because he's under felony indictment. Did he actually go through with the purchase, unquote. Quote, people under felony indictments can't receive new firearms. That also means you can't buy them, unquote. He also wrote. MSNBC anchor and legal contributor Katie Payne wrote, quote, I don't know if he actually bought the gun. At least it didn't happen in this video. Also, the Attorney General of South Carolina in this video. He is watching Trump commit a crime. But some pointed to a federal judge in Texas ruling from last year. Reuters reported a, quote, federal law prohibiting people under felony indictment from buying firearms as unconstitutional, unquote. And they have the video here of him being there at that gun shop. I doubt it's going to show up on the screen. Let me see if it'll... Okay, well, let me see. Maybe let me play it here. Let's see.
When you ask which was the highest quality gun, sir, it's this one. That's a Glock. Glock actually did that. And these are actually great sellers for us. We sell with the picture? We do. It comes exactly like this from Glock. Wow. And they sell well. They like me. That's 45. I gotta buy one. Sir, if you want one, this one. No, I want to buy one. I want to buy one. Can I get one more picture with the president? Go ahead. Yes, right here.
Okay, so that's the video of him saying what they said he said at this place. So somehow the issue gets skewed or debated over whether or not it's legal for a person under indictment to buy a gun. How odd that happens to somebody with wealth, right? If it was, let's say, Joe Cracker down the street who's indicted for something and he goes to a shop like this and tries to buy a gun, the fucking police would have come out of the woodwork and arrested the bastard, okay? But here Donald Trump goes in there and everybody's laughing and having a grand old time with this fucking orange prick. And he's up there, I want to buy a Glock, okay? And where's the police? The police should have been at the fucking door when he walked into a gun shop, okay? If it's illegal for him to even do this, the police should have been there waiting for him to show up at this place if they knew he was going there, okay? You know what I'm saying? So where's the police? Why wasn't he arrested on the spot for being there? I mean, yeah, he didn't buy, as far as they know, he didn't buy a gun. It doesn't mean he doesn't already have one. He just can't buy any new ones. But, you know, this is a guy here, under every court order, a gag order and stuff like that, he turns right around and spits right in the face of the court and does exactly the opposite of what they tell him. He cannot shut up. You know, he doesn't care about what a judge tells him he can't do. He does what he fucking wants. Because he figures, I got enough money to fight this till the cows come home. What are they going to do to me? Okay, I think Trump has got it in his mind that no one's got any balls to just put the cuffs on him and drag him into fucking jail and keep him there until all his legal matters are settled. You know? And you know, what reason would he have not to think that, I ask? Because everyone seems to see what's going on and they say it's crazy how we got a 2-3 tier system in our justice system in this country where the rich have a much rosier path to getting away with crime than, say, your common citizen, who might do a lesser crime and has absolutely no fucking way of avoiding the penalties. Okay, it's not given. They're not given the same courtesy or opportunity because they're wealthy to be able to do that. I mean, the charges on the putting our national security at risk alone would be enough to put this guy in jail until these legal things are issued. I mean, you know, are settled, because he would not be allowed to leave this country, nor would he be allowed to even go back home. He'd be in lockup until the thing happened. That charge alone would be enough. I mean, did they let Aldrich Ames and Robert Hansen go home after they charged him with the crimes of, espionage, spying, and all that shit? No, of course not. Okay? They kept him in lockup until the trial was over. And so it's like, they won't do this with Trump. And he done those crimes and then some. I mean, he shafted this country. He shafted all our asses, okay? Because when we're talking IRS money, we're talking about tax money that's our money. Tax money he stole from us in ways that people don't really understand. They'll bitch and complain about, how the welfare, they're taking food stamp money and they're spending it, frivolously, buying lobsters and shit like that, or filling up carts of food with just, just to, try to suggest that, people on welfare are screwing our country over. And yet we got people like this guy right here who screws our country over millions of times over, okay? And one scam, millions of dollars lost in the fucking IRA, and yet everyone's focused their attention on the small guy over there who's probably on Social Security, gets an EBT card, trying to make ends meet because he's got 2 kids and a wife and he's out of work. And yet they say, he's lazy, he ain't trying to find work, and he's not, he shouldn't be getting those benefits. He doesn't deserve them, okay? These are the people here who are blind to the fact that that guy behind you, he's the one that's putting the shaft to you, and you don't even feel it. He's numbed your ass to the point where he's sticking it to you, and you don't even feel it. So I just, how can I say people are stupid? When they think like that, those are the ones that'll believe anything they're told, okay? And Donald Trump here is one of those people who, for all his business life, has been taking our money, okay, in whatever way that suits him, to give him more wealth, cheating the IRS system, which he's not the only one. I mean, come on, let's be honest with each other. You got anybody that has a big company in this country, they're all finding ways around paying their taxes, okay? We know this. And yet nobody wants to do anything about it, but we know this. So when you do the sum total of all of these people not paying their taxes compared to the people that others assume are screwing us over with their welfare recipients and stuff, you're going to find that the welfare issue is a drop in the fucking bucket compared to the fucking boulder that's sitting on top of the bucket. Okay? And that's coming from the top 1 to 5% of this country. They own all the wealth practically in America, and yet we're supposed to worry about the nickel and dimers out there who maybe some might be scamming the system. We don't know how many, but we know that they're not getting that much from whatever system they're scamming. Okay, how much do you think people get on a food stamp card? I heard somebody the other day sit there and say they saw somebody in a grocery store pulling 2 carts full of food, okay? And when they went up to the register to pay for the food, they pulled out an EBT card, okay, and paid for it that way. I said, you're a fucking liar, okay? This state does not give out that kind of money per month for somebody to go fill up 2 goddamn grocery carts full of food, okay? They get, if that, they get $100 a month, if that, okay? I know people who get that, and believe me, it's not enough. Okay, it's not nearly enough. They go by, if you got kids, if you're living alone, if you're living with parents, if you have a job, there's a lot of things you got to go through in order for them to calculate whether or not you even deserve to get it. Okay, it's not an easy thing. You just don't go to the window like you're going to the fair and get a stamp on the hand, and there you go. No, you got to fill out forms, and it takes a long time for them to get a yes or a no out of them assholes, okay? So the thing is people got it in their head that these people are screwing things, and they imagine seeing things like that going on. They don't know that this person that they saw might have been carrying cash in a wallet, and he had somebody's EBT card, and they were probably asked to go pick up some groceries for them and pay for it with their card because maybe they're old and they can't go out and do it themselves. No, they take what they see, and without using their brain, they don't even think that possibly this person's shopping for more than himself. Okay, but no, they see a guy with 2 carts of food, and he goes up to the register and pays with an EBT card. He probably paid with that, and he probably paid with cash for the rest of it. Okay, and he just didn't know. He didn't see it. He couldn't have seen it. All right? Nobody can get enough money to buy 2 carts of goddamn groceries, okay? I'm sorry, but that, you know, it's just, that dog won't hunt, okay? I'm sorry. You're going to have to come up with a better lie than that if you're going to make me believe it. And I can't think of any state in this country that would be any different, okay? It's like that in every state. The less they give out, the better they like it, because believe me, there's enough Republicans in these states to be able to make sure that nobody gets anything, okay? If anything, Republicans are on the fucking warpath to take away your Social Security, your food stamps, your welfare, your medical benefit, everything that you think that you got that's keeping your head above water. They want to remove it. They want to see the streets filled with homeless, starving people, okay? And they don't want to help nobody. They want to see all the jobs taken away and replaced with robots, and they figure nobody should be living in this country but the wealthy. That's what they want. Folks, voting for Republicans or Trumplicans or MAGA nuts, whatever you want to call them these days, they don't even know what they are themselves. Voting for these folks is cutting your own throat. Don't be stupid. Yeah, the Democrats aren't always perfect, okay? I give you that. But they're the best game in town, okay? Don't be dumb and say that, oh, because of something you didn't like that they did like 10 years ago, that's the reason why you will never vote for them again. Okay, why don't you review a little bit of history and find out the things they did do for you that you don't even know? I told you a couple weeks ago, there's a lot of people out there who don't even know what Biden had done for them already. Okay? When they hear about it, they think it's a lie. But the press is not on your side, folks. They're not really championing around Biden's victories here. But they champion around is what happens to Trump. What's he going to do now? What's this? They're too busy making him look like a martyr, a victim. Okay? And they think that's what's going to work. And Fox News is not alone in what they're doing here, okay? This is going on in a lot of other news companies, which is why I don't watch TV news anymore, okay? That's the quickest way to get the wrong information anywhere, okay? It requires you not to use your own brain. They feed you the information. Well, I don't want to be fed the goddamn what their facts are. I want my own truth. I want to see, okay, from different sources and piece together what could be the truth, okay? Because everybody has a motive, because these same people that are reporting the news also vote, okay? And believe me, they want to see a certain person or persons win elections, okay? And so they tailor the news in such a way that doesn't look obvious that it's being propagandized to you, okay? So, like I said, you got to be careful where you're getting your facts. Don't just take one story and jump on it and say, oh, that's what happened, okay? Don't do that. Don't ever do that. You could at one time when you had people like Walter Cronkite, you know, doing the news, you could pretty much take what he said as gospel, okay? He didn't tailor or sugarcoat the news with his own opinions, okay? He told you what was, and that was it. And really, that's what we need today, because we got too much of the other kind of news, the entertainment news. We need to go back to that. What worked back then is still working. Would still work today, if we have the balls to bring reporters like that to the scene. And so I'm hoping that one day people will just say, I'm tired. They'll just quit watching the news on television, and their ratings will show it. And these places will lose so much money that they're going to say, well, we're going to have to do some drastic changes here, because either we do that or we're going to just have to close up shop, because people aren't reading or aren't watching our shows anymore, okay? And so they'll have to say, well, let's go back to just doing the news our way, just, giving them the facts as we know it, and let these people figure this stuff out on their own, just give them what they need to know. And, once they go back to that, I think it'll be a long time changing, because people won't trust it at first, because we've been lying to ourselves for so fucking long that people aren't easy to just accept somebody saying the truth right off the bat. They're always going to think there's a catch somewhere, there's a string attached, you know what I'm saying? And Fox News has really damaged our press corps in this country bad. I mean, they made themselves look like shit, but they've also dragged down other companies in America too that were doing fine until that company showed up. Because in order to compete with them, they had to reduce their fucking credibility in the process. Because they figure that's what people wanted to hear, you know. And so, you know, what can I say is that, you know, we have a lot to repair in our country here after the last 60 years of American baloney. American baloney. You know, I would be interested to see in how history is going to regard this period in our time in America. You know, what is it going to say? God, I'd hate to be a kid trying to understand this period. Jesus Christ. All right, so anyway, I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and please subscribe and comment, and let me know what you're thinking about. And keep your ears open to COVID-19 news. I mean, people are getting new shots. They have a new vaccine out there because, like the flu, it changes every year. So people need to get some new shots here for this coming winter, I guess. I'm supposed to get mine pretty soon. And you know, be nice and you know, do like what I did today. You know, if somebody starts bringing up politics, just shut your mouth and you know, don't engage. Do not engage, okay? The people who will try to engage with you oftentimes are going to be people you're not going to agree with. For some reason, it's always those people that want to start talking politics, the ones that, you know, have these weird ideas about what needs to be done and shit like that. Unfortunately for me, this guy wasn't like that I saw today. But oftentimes it is a MAGA nut and all this stuff, and they just, you know, they come up to me sometimes, say, "Oh, thank you for your service," and then they start in. They think I'm a Trump supporter just because I'm a veteran, but they don't realize there's a lot of veterans out there that don't support Trump, but they just assume they do. Okay, they just assume it, which is why a lot of times Republicans don't like veterans. Because they don't quite know where they stand at any given time, and unless they have a flag on the back of their vehicle or a big Trump sticker on their car, you know. I still see them around here, but not as much. I think his reputation has gotten damaged quite a bit here. So anyway, I'll talk to you all later. So take care.